What's up, guys? Today we're going to be looking at one of the most mysterious disappearances I've ever heard about in my entire life, about a girl named Catherine. Now, Catherine only went missing 1 week ago. Some people think she was murdered. Other people think more paranormal events caused her to disappear. The crazy part about this is I found out about Catherine's disappearance through her sister Stephanie, who emailed me this story. What she described to me in this email was one of the most disturbing supernatural events that I've ever heard about in my entire life, and it all revolves around the Whispering Man. The Whispering Man is something I've never heard about until Stephanie emailed me this terrifying story about her sister going missing. She claims that her sister Catherine was obsessed with the legend of the Whispering Man. It's all she talked about while they were growing up, and she was convinced that he used to visit her at night. Every time Catherine talked about the Whispering Man, her eyes would be so wide they would almost bulge out of her head. Catherine was obsessed with the Whispering Man so much that Stephanie told her sister to stop reading scary stories before bed. But Catherine insisted that it was not a story, this was real. She used to say how frightened he made her, and nights that they would talk about the Whispering Man, she couldn't even sleep. In the email that Stephanie wrote me, she said that this all began when they were around the age of 15. Catherine and Stephanie were very close. They did everything together, but Catherine began to change in a way Stephanie didn't like. She withdrew deeper and deeper into herself. Her obsession with the Whispering Man started to alter her appearance. It even changed the way Catherine would act in front of her. It really scared her. Catherine would rarely leave her bedroom, and when she did venture out, she would stare into nothingness, stare into empty corners. But it was her eyes that frightened her the most. They were filled with such an overwhelming fear. Stephanie would ask her sister what she was staring at, and her response would be just to wildly shake her head. Stephanie's whole entire family would spend a lot of time outside of their house sitting by the garden, but eventually Catherine stopped even wanting to come outside to join them. She kept babbling on about the neighbor's dog and how it wasn't right. She would say that it spoke to her, told her horrible things, but she refused to tell me what these things were. Stephanie wasn't the only one to notice Catherine's downward spiral. Even her parents noticed something was up. Her parents decided to send her to therapy, but nothing seemed to help, and eventually she refused to go. Catherine blamed everything on the Whispering Man. One night, Catherine came barging into Stephanie's room and she started screaming, "Stephanie, listen, Stephanie. The Whispering Man is real. He's real. I've seen him, Stephanie. Do you want to know his story?" At this point, Stephanie just wanted her sister to stop. She just wanted her sister to go back normal again so they could be friends. So she said, "Yeah, okay. The Whispering Man isn't a legend. He isn't a story that adults use to scare their children into obedience. He is very real. He first came to me after I received an email. I don't know where it came from. There was no option to reply, no way to forward it, and the email address itself didn't exist. Do you want to see it?" At this point, Catherine was so close to Stephanie's face, staring at her, that Stephanie could smell this strange odor coming off of her sister. She described the smell to me as a mixture of sweat, dirt, and strangely, sulfur. She also told me she noticed Catherine's skin had turned into an alarmingly yellowish hue. Stephanie agreed to see this mysterious email that her sister says brought on the Whispering Man, and she actually sent me a copy of that email. I have no way to verify if this screenshot of this email is actually real or not, but as you guys see, this email is sent from the address unknown at .com, which is obviously an email address that couldn't be possible. Catherine did say that she tried to reply to this email, but it didn't even exist. The subject of the email said, "Have you seen or heard the Whispering Man?" in all capital letters. When I first read the contents of this email, it sent shivers down my spine. It creeped me out. The Whispering Man can be short and he can be tall. Sometimes he has no mouth and sometimes he does. Sometimes that mouth contains rows upon rows of sharp, jagged black teeth. On occasion, the Whispering Man will come to you and he will be completely naked. His unnaturally long and lean body covered and obscured by tufts of coarse hair. Other times, he's wearing a cloak that's stained with blood. The nature of your disappearance and subsequent death will depend on how he appears to you. It seems to me like the Whispering Man will appear to you as your worst nightmare. And by this email, it seems like once he does appear to you, you are almost certain to die. Sometimes he has a face and sometimes he doesn't. It's the way his features move and glide and gleam in the darkness, which can make you think that his features change. It can also make you think that he is featureless, faceless. No one can confirm as to the Whispering Man's true appearance. If he comes to you and he has no eyes, then you're lucky because he won't be able to see you despite being able to smell you. If you stay really, really still, then he will eventually go away. That is insanely disturbing, and it kind of reminds me of the movie Quarantine. At the end of the movie, they're in this really dark room. This creature can't see them. The whole fact that this story is linked to a real missing person is beyond terrifying. The Whispering Man can appear at any time, although he does prefer darkness, so he's more than likely to come to you at night. He will only come to you at night when he is about to take you, but he will stalk you for days first. You can see him anywhere, at any time. You can be in a room full of people and no one else will see him but you. That's how he isolates you from others. He will obscure himself in ways you can't imagine just to get to you. He can appear as a friend. He can appear as a family member. He can even appear as a bird, dog, or cat just to frighten you. You will know something is wrong because the Whispering Man doesn't understand how to be human. He doesn't understand how to be an animal. His gait is slow and deliberate. He doesn't know how to carry himself, doesn't know how to appear normal. You'll be able to tell because if you look at his disguised face for long enough, you will be able to see it convulse, reshape, and shudder. The Whispering Man cannot smile. You will know when you see him because the Whispering Man can only walk sideways. He has no feet and is only able to awkwardly walk on his bleeding stumps. You will only hear what he says to you in your head, and his voice is a loud, deafening whisper in your mind. It has been said that his voice will change depending on the person he is stalking because he can make himself sound like anyone, anything. You hear him before you see him. Once you see him, you are his. Take care, Catherine, and watch out. After Stephanie actually saw this terrifying email for her own self, she began to feel scared for her sister Catherine. She obviously wasn't doing well. She's obviously getting sick, and she thinks it has to do with this email. Tears began to fall down her sister's sick yellow face, and she asked her, "Do you believe me now?" Stephanie was trying to convince herself that this was some sort of sick prank that her sister fell part of. She began to plead to her sister, "Please let us help you." Catherine sat there for a minute, staring at her sister in anger and disgust, probably for not believing what she's saying. She grabbed the laptop out of her sister's hand, stormed out of the room, and right at the doorway, she turned to her sister and said, "I've seen him, Stephanie. I really have." This was the last time that Stephanie had ever seen her sister ever again. The next morning, she'd completely vanished, gone, disappeared. Her bedroom was barren, unkept. Books and clothes were thrown everywhere. Her room used to be brightly colored with posters lining each and every wall, but now it was so dark, so gloomy, as if someone had died in there. All they could find inside Catherine's room was a piece of bloodied scalp with her hair still attached. They also found a severed finger and a mountain of fingernails arranged in the shape of a body. The police had no leads, and eventually the search was abandoned, and her sister was now an unsolved case. Stephanie and her family were devastated, obviously. Stephanie missed her sister so much, and what she saw in her sister's room scarred her for life. But the way Stephanie ended off this email to me made me believe that maybe this Whispering Man is actually real. She said she was up late one night, mindlessly browsing the internet, when she received an email. Her heart was in her mouth when she saw the subject line. Have you seen or heard the Whispering Man? She didn't open it. She didn't have to. She knew exactly what was inside. Ever since her sister had disappeared, those words have embedded themselves into her head. Suddenly, she saw something out of the corner of her eye, something pale, white, and gray. She turned to look toward the darkness of the hallway, and that's when she heard a silent voice in her head, a whisper. It was her sister's voice, and it said, "It's okay, Stephanie. We can be together soon." That's where the email leaves off. But the story gets even stranger. When I tried to email Stephanie back to see if she had any more experiences with the Whispering Man, I got a reply back from her parents. She told me that Stephanie had just been arrested for the murder of her sister Catherine. When the police were questioning Stephanie about the murder of her sister Catherine, she began to go insane, screaming at the top of her lungs. Stephanie actually started to pull out her own hair as she would scream at the top of her lungs in the investigation room. "The Whispering Man is coming for me! The Whispering Man is coming for me!" Stephanie is now in a mental institution right now. The police have deemed Stephanie as clinically insane. So I have no idea if what she had told me on the email is true or not. All I know is she's under investigation for the murder of her sister. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Was the disappearance of Catherine due to her sister Stephanie murdering her? Or does this all have to do with the Whispering Man? Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys smash that like button right now, and I'll be putting out way more videos just like this. Make sure you guys go subscribe, and make sure you guys go subscribe to my main channel. I'm Jay Station. We got a brand new series coming out where I investigate haunted paranormal activity. It is going to be insane. See you guys in the next one. Peace.